Dungeon Crawlers. We're here at Teen Author Bootcamp with Chad Morris, author extraordinaire, and there is a kid running around everywhere. That's right. There's everywhere. So you have several books out now, but most recent is what?
Is The Impossible Race.
Okay.
So it's the third in a trilogy, so it's a big, crazy ending. It's
Oh,
a
nice.
Cragbridge Hall series. It's this crazy school in the future with fun inventions. But of course, big secret behind one of the inventions. Kidnapped inventor. Kids trying to save the day. It's fun stuff.
Cool. So what kind of came up with this idea for you?
It depends on what part of the idea you're thinking about. But the school in the future, I actually got the idea when I was listening to a nonfiction writer talk about history and how awesome it is. And I thought, I agree, but as a kid, I just thought history was so boring.
Oh, I agree.
So I started thinking what would be the coolest way, and that led to what if you could see it in 3D? What if they had an invention for that in the future? Then what are the different classes like?
Yeah.
And then, of course, what might be some of the bad implications of some of those inventions?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got what are the names of the other two books?
Okay, so the first one is The Inventor's Secret.
Okay.
That kind of sets it up. You figure out that he does have a secret behind one of these. The second one is the Avatar battle. And that continues the crazy story. The villain's out for revenge. And then the third one is the Impossible Race.
Nice. So you're wrapping everything up in a nice bundle.
Yeah, at least enough that the reader feels satisfied.
Cool.
I might come back to it and do a follow-up series,
Yeah.
but for right now, we'll let it rest.
So with this finished, is there something else you're going to move on to, a different genre maybe, or do you have another story in mind?
So I've got another one written, and I'm halfway through another one. I can't announce anything yet, but they're in the works. But they're both middle grade. That's what my books
Yeah.
are, right? So usually kids 3rd to 7th, 8th grade, stuff like that, like the beginning Harry Potters. So same age group, but they're definitely different
Okay.
than Cragbridge Hall.
So how do you do your writing? Because it seems like every author has their own unique style of writing. How do you write?
Well, I still have a full-time job, so I write mostly on the bus ride home from work.
Okay.
And then I've got 5 kids, and so wife and 5 kids, and so I mostly write when they're sleeping. And so it's just sit down when you've got the time and pound it out best you can. I'm not that much of a perfectionist, so I just pound out a rough draft, and then I worry about making it really awesome as I come back through the other times.
Okay.
So.
Do you have any music playing in the background, or do you like absolute silence? Because everyone's different.
Right. No, it's got to be jazz. No,
Okay.
I don't really.
No.
I just rotate. I'll sit at my desk for a little bit. I'll go to the couch. My wife likes to write too.
Okay.
So sometimes we're in the same room, but then sometimes we get talking instead of writing, and so it depends on how productive we have to be.
Nice.
But I don't have any real rituals or anything I do.
Okay.
But I love to get back in and reread and figure out where you are in the story and jump back in and try to make it awesome.
So with you pushing through and doing that rough draft, do you ever find it difficult when you're going back and you're like, oh man, why did I write that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there are parts that aren't. In fact, I'll even leave myself notes. I will have written a scene. You know that scene has to happen, but it wasn't as good as it's supposed to be. Be like, hey, write something better here. That's just let me know. Hey, this is a part of the story you really have to relook at again. I am not a thorough outliner.
Okay.
Some people are. I am to the degree I know where I'm going, right, and some key points along the way. But that outlining feels too much like homework to me. So I'm more of a just jump in, make
Okay.
sure it's still really fun to me, because I think when it's really fun to me, that comes across,
Yeah.
right, in the story. And even some of the surprises, again, feel more surprising. Some of them are planned, some of them aren't.
Okay.
But I enjoy it.
Nice. So since you're not a big outliner,
Right.
how do you outline? Is it just basically here's the beginning, here's the middle, there's the end, or is it? a little bit-
Yeah. It's kind of a one-pager.
Okay.
Right? So if you liken it, I've heard this metaphor many times, but you liken it to going on a family vacation.
Okay.
And you're like, hey, I know where we're ending, and I know 3 stops where we're going to go along the way, but, some magic might happen in between. We might see some billboard and pull off and check something out,
Okay.
but I know where I'm going, and so that helps us. I wrote one before the Cragbridge Hall series that wasn't published, and that was probably my problem. I didn't outline at all. And it turned out really fun, but it kind of got away from me.
Okay.
There wasn't enough structure. And so now I always make sure I've got at least bare minimum outline so I know where I'm going.
All right. That's good to know. I mean, because there are some authors that are like very detailed in their outline, and you're looking at it, it's like,
Extremely.
wow. I mean,
some people
I've
don't
tried
make
and I
an
can't
outline
do
at
it.
all.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, there are some people that just fly by the seat of their pants. So
Just bottom line is, does it work?
Yeah.
And does it work for you?
okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned family, kids. How do you find the balance really? Because you got the day job, you come home,
Right.
and is with the stress that comes on with all that, does that kind of lead in? You have to kind of relax before jumping in, or writing, or
I don't know how to find the balance.
Okay.
That's a good question. Sometimes, like right now, I just did a month of book touring.
Okay.
So I was out of town for a while, so my wife's taking care of the kids, and she's awesome. But so now I'm kind of in non-writing mode for a little bit, because I got to make sure I've gone to all my kids' basketball games and help my wife with projects and stuff like that. And then I'll jump back. I'm still doing writing, but it's a little less than normal, because that balancing's important.
Yeah.
Because I would hate it. I'd love to write, but I would hate it if I mess something up in the family, the more important stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So it is. I think it's just an important question to be asking yourself,
Okay.
and then you make decisions as you go.
Now, because you said you've kind of taken a break from writing, but you're still writing, so is that important to still continue writing, even if it's not a lot?
I think everybody, I think every author is always writing, right? So maybe I can only spend an hour at night, or two, or maybe it's thinking of new ideas, but there's always something I'm doing.
Okay.
But yeah.
Because I would assume it would be really difficult getting back into it if you say you did take the full month and didn't write anything.
Right. It's like anything in that if you love it and you've become decent at it, you can jump back in and be okay. But if you have been practicing, it's easier.
Yeah.
Right? You're warmed up. You're good. Yeah.
So where can our listeners find your books?
They can find them wherever, right? You
Everywhere.
can find them on Amazon and in your local bookstore often, right? I can't speak for every bookstore, but Barnes and Nobles, and there's the audiobook on Audible. Kirby Hayborn reads it. He does a fantastic job. They're on Kindle, Nook, wherever.
Nice. Now, did you have any say in getting Kirby to do the audiobook?
Yeah, it was really fun actually. So I like to read stories. They'd let me audition for it.
Okay.
And it went all right, and we had this discussion about how I could probably do it and do an okay job, but that Kirby was an option, and I thought, well, if you can get Kirby to do it, let's go that way.
Nice.
Because I think it would be fun to read my own book, but he does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. All right, so books available anywhere. Rush out and grab it. Middle grade read, but good enough for an adult to read as well.
If adults like that type of book, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I have of course, many kids that love it, and teenagers and adults and stuff. So it just depends. If it appeals to them, that's great. There is a website, like Cragbridge Hall.
Okay.
Cragbridge Hall. It's kind of tough to say. .com. And there are little trailers for the books, so people can watch them. And my first trailer they did a great job on it.
Nice.
And so they can watch that and say, hey, is this kind of my style? Right? Is this something I want to read? And if so, jump on in.
Cool. Now, if any of our listeners want to find you, or is there any conventions or any other book tours or book stops you're going to be doing soon?
Great question. So, the book tour has just finished. So other than that, I will have some things that come up. I'm usually at like LDS Storymakers. I'm at Comic-Con here in Salt Lake. I'll be there. I'll probably be helping with some friends' launch parties here soon. So they can look me up on Facebook. I also have a Twitter, Chad C. Morris. And I always post where I'm going to be.
All right.
So there's some stuff upcoming. It's a good question. I know there's more than I just said.
That's okay. Well, find him on Facebook, at Twitter as well.
Yes.
Chad C. Morris, find him. He'll be able to tell you where he's going next. Look and go pick up those books. And we'll catch you next time.